South Sudan is a landlocked country in East Africa that shares its borders with 6 neighboring countries. In 2011, South Sudan became an independent country after 20 years of guerrilla warfare with Sudan, which claimed the lives of at least 1.5 million people and resulted in more than 4 million being displaced. The population of 9 million is very diverse, with English and Arabic both as official languages, more than 60 ethnic groups, and counting Christianity and local religions as its faith following. It is blessed with oil and mineral wealth, and with the Nile River running through it, some of the most fertile land in all of Africa, counting timber, coffee, fishing, and livestock husbandry as thriving agricultural ventures. The people are welcoming and enthusiastic in support of their new country, knowing full well it has tremendous opportunity. This documentary offers unprecedented access to the government leadership viewpoint and their commitment to making the country prosperous for its people and a destination for foreign investment. Following an overwhelming vote to break away from Sudan, it became an independent nation on July 9, 2011. Unification of the country was literally pulled apart after a failed coup attempt in 2013. The country remained largely split along tribal lines until a statesmanlike decision was made to sign South Sudan's compromise peace agreement in August 2015, ending 2 years of conflict. Peace has finally come to South Sudan in April 2016 as President Salva Kiir Mayardit welcomed the return of the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, to Juba. With this act of reconciliation by the President, the process to bring unity, peace, and the promise of prosperity to the world's newest country can now begin in earnest. President Salva Kiir Mayardit shares his history, the importance of family, and his vision for the country.
I'm Salva Kiir Mayardit. I'm the President of the Republic of South Sudan. I rose through ranks and file of SPLM, SPLA to the position I am in. In terms of being a husband, I'm married and I have children. Well, sometimes maybe a wrong judgment. Sometimes it may be correct. Yes, I may be difficult because I don't interfere with anybody's private affairs. And likewise, I don't want anybody to interfere with my private affairs. If in official lines, and I give orders, I would like these orders to be implemented as I have given them. Or else I will fall off with anybody who does not follow the line. Well, you cannot describe yourself, whether you are brave or a coward, courageous or not courageous. Some other people can judge you. What I know was that, we were prosecuting the war of liberation. And in the war, in the battlefield, there are mistakes. That can always happen when the battle becomes intensive. You can even forget about your name. But in such instances, it needs, courage. So for a commander to take a decision. And especially there is nothing easy in the liberation struggle. Everything is always difficult. But it depends on the commander, how he controls his nerves, and by controlling his nerves, he can control the rest of his men in arms. So I cannot judge myself. The war is always a risk. When you go to war, you risk your life because nobody knows the results of the single battle before you come out. So it was a risk to everybody that was engaged in that exercise. When you are in action, you may be missed narrowly by a bullet or by a bomb, a shell from any mortar or from any recoilless, or even from the antinopes, the war planes that have been fighting with us. So these things happen in several areas. There are things that you do and for curiosity, and there are things that you do through anger. When I joined the struggle, the first war, I was very young. But what made me to run to the bush was that, the Northern Sudanese, who were the police, the prison services, the army, were mistreating South Sudanese. And we lost many intellectuals in that way, especially in Wau, where in a wedding party, about 78 intellectuals by that time were all butchered in the party. That included some of our teachers. And some of our teachers were taken in front of us and tortured to death. So we saw that there was no need for continuing with these people. We marched to the bush, and while we were there, some went and met their fate. They died fighting. And after that, there was an agreement signed in 1972. That agreement was, was actually signed in a way that it gave a breathing space to South Sudanese. The second part of my being in the struggle, we never again put down our guns until 2005, when the agreement was signed in Naivasha in Kenya, and gave us the right of self-determination, which will be exercised through a referendum, and which happened. And so that, through the referendum, this is how independence came. Framed it from the beginning that we were fighting for a united democratic Sudan, where everybody will be equal and where religion will be separate from the state. We did it all, but knowing that the Muslims will not accept the separation of religion and state, and we press it on them. This is how they threw away South Sudan. We did not get the independence because they wanted us to be independent. But they did not want us to interfere with their religion. And so that was the reason, and so we achieved what we were aspiring for, that is independence.
As the world's newest country, South Sudan has many challenges to overcome, not the least of which is infrastructure, supplying basic health care and education services to its citizens.
Well, South Sudan, as the youngest nation in the world, was a part of Sudan until July 9th, 2011, when it attained its independence. It is a home of more than 60 ethnic groups in Africa. That makes it to be the most multi-ethnic and cultural country in Africa. It's also blessed with so many resources, from oil to minerals, and also vast agricultural lands that are so fertile.
Because I'm a South Sudanese, I've been part of the struggle. And here I am at the stage of nation building process. South Sudan has a unique history. It has been colonized by United Kingdom, that is long time ago. Before United Kingdom, there was Turkish emperor, and the last one was Sudan. All this has been based on divide and rule. And South Sudan has been divided into districts, tribes, and ethnic grouping. So having that distinct history, it is not strange that South Sudan can get itself into this situation after independence, after long protracted struggle.
As a country so young, tackling corruption was a major initiative within the country. Critics are always quick to accuse many African governments of not doing enough to combat corruption. South Sudan is no different in this respect. President Kiir discusses corruption and the importance of controlling it and removing it completely wherever possible.
These are issues that can be faced by any country, and any leader in such a country should fight to stem them out. I personally said that have declared war against corruption. Colleagues who were with me took the advantage by squandering whatever they could take from the coffers of the government, saying that these are the people who fought the war, and I thought they wanted to compensate themselves or to reward themselves in a way. These people, yes, got away with a lot of money. Because they had money, they started to fight those who were still talking about fighting corruption. That may be the result of 2013 coup attempt, and which has now been transformed into a guerrilla movement, which is still fighting with the government up to now. Most of those people joined there because they were afraid for being tracked down to be charged about the money they have taken. This is something that we'll have to continue with it until when corruption is stamped out in this country. As for the human rights abuses, again I can say that people are not the same. There are people in the organized forces who can turn criminals using their positions of having the government machinery in their hands. They can do it. There are also normal citizens who can turn criminals. They can get weapons from anywhere. They can use those weapons to kill if they want to kill, to rob if they want to loot, including those who rape women. It is a crime worldwide. It is not only in South Sudan.
The magnitude of human and socio-economic destruction caused by the fighting is staggering. The mission of the armed forces must secure the country, but also help in the rebuilding efforts.
The mission of the SPLM, per the Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan, is to defend the country, territory, the people, the property, and the Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan. This mission will continue to be. The name of the SPLM will definitely change to become the National Defense of the Republic of South Sudan. And its work will be, in addition to defending the nation, will be also to take part in development of the country, especially in physical infrastructure, the construction. That will be the mission of the army. The army also will play a role in the region, in the field of peacekeeping, not only inside South Sudan, but also within the region and even beyond Africa.
The effect of war has created immediate health and social welfare challenges. The most vulnerable will be the focus of the governments, which included those injured and the elderly. Women and children are the highest priority. Delivery of services is made much more difficult because of the lack of substantial road network.
Well, the Ministry of Health, of course, its mandate is to ensure that the people of this country get the care that they need in the health sector. And to get there, of course, we have the obligation to develop policies that ensure the health coverage extends to every single individual in the country. And that, of course, is guided by a vision, which is we've got to have a population that is healthy and productive. And of course, with that vision, we develop policies and strategies that ensure that we cover the whole country. At this level, at the national level, our mandate, our role is to develop policies, quality assurance, and also procurement of commodities. Then this now goes down to the next level, which is the implementation level at the state and the county level. So in short, that's what the ministry does.
Well, the Ministry of Gender mission is to provide policy guidance and effective service delivery, is to coordinate, to facilitate, monitor and evaluate gender equality and women empowerment, the right of the children, the right of persons with disability and other vulnerable groups. And why was it established? It was to address historical imbalances which created under development for women in particular, and that also created imbalance in terms of their participation on the national issues and cultural practice that hinder progress in women. So this ministry was created to promote gender equality and also to empower women so that they can also take their roles in public life to build this country.
What it means to be a lost boy is somebody who have lost both parents and is living in his or her own way of life. We were in a refugee camp in Kakuma, which is in North Kenya, and it was tough for us because there was no parents, nobody else to take care of us, so we had to struggle our own self so that we become self-sufficient and we learn how to get our food, because the food that was distributed in Kakuma was not enough. It was like 2 gallons of maize per month, and that food can finish in 2 weeks' time or 3. And then The rest you have to find a way now to survive.
The government is doing its best to ensure that those who are actually suffering, those who are actually in need, the aid is actually delivered to them. We cooperate with international aid agencies, and we give them maximum cooperation in order to reach the needy people in those areas. However, what we do not need to take the responsibility is the fact that as we still embark on the process of implementing peace agreement, there are a lot of bandits that are still operating aloof. They can kill and even attack aid workers, and that's a problem. And the government, given the economic situation, and that Juba was demilitarized, and we have taken the army into an open. But last time we were told, they will be helped in order to get water and get shelter. But we have to take them away because this is the only extraordinary agreement that the humankind has received, and so we have to, to cope with. And you look at this, you will find that the government is actually doing its best to cooperate with the aid agencies, but the international community is actually responding slowly.
South Sudan has many economic advantages, but it's also an economy that has 98% of its revenue linked to the sale of oil. With the price of oil dropping almost 70% during 2015 and early 2016, tremendous pressure has been placed on the country's finances and efforts to stabilize the economy. With foresight, the current administration led by President Kiir began championing diversification of the economy in 2014. The key challenges of the country are discussed with commentary on the key platforms that are in action to stabilize the economy.
Prior to the signature of our president in the agreement of the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, there was a forum that was conducted for about 2 days last year, bringing the challenges facing our nation in terms of economic hardships. And there are resolutions for that. However, the most important one, which is a key thing, is peace first. Without peace, there is no development. Without peace, there is no stability. And that's the priority so far this government is taking forward, to bring peace, and the rest could follow normally.
The Ministry of Interior and Wildlife Conservation is mandated to maintain the internal security of the country. And it does that through many organs. We have the police service, prison service, wildlife conservation service, civil defense in bracket fire brigade service, and we have smaller institutions like Refugees Affairs Commission, which is under the ministry, the Bureau for security, for community security and control of small arms. We have the Directorate of Nationality, Passport and Immigration, and finally the Customs Service of South Sudan. As far as the uniform, the personnel which is discharging the duties is concerned. All these organs have different functions, and all, when you add the aggregate, it comes down to the maintenance of internal security, where the country becomes stable, and then with the stability, developments comes up, because an stable country will not attract investors, and movement will not be easy, So the role of all these organs is to see that the country is stable, and the stability is led by the police organization, which protects lives and properties, and then the prison service works with the police in the criminal justice system, where the police arrest the offenders, investigate them, and commit them to court. Once the verdict is passed, and then the offender is sentenced, is taken to the prison service for the purpose of rehabilitation and reformation, such that the convict at the end of the term now can return as a good citizen, and also start making new livelihood and becomes productive, and that deter them from again sliding back into the well of criminality.
The government is committed to using all available resources in building the country. Of particular note is the allocation of the Army's Engineering Corps for large-scale construction projects.
The communication at the moment is still very, very poor, and we are addressing this through the regional integration. For example, we in the region we have become part of the East African community, in which the two armies will have to, the armies in the region will have to cooperate and communicate with each other so as to avoid and to preempt any situation that can undermine the security in the region. We need also to put an element that will have to confront terrorism should it arise, because terrorism now has no borders. They seem to be moving anywhere where there is weakness. So we want to consolidate in the region so as to prevent such a situation from happening. Disarmament of the civil population is also another element that we'll have to call in, and the African Union on security are going to have a meeting on how to carry out the disarmament of the civil population within the region. There are regular meetings, and they're going to be between these countries of the region, these six, all the countries that we are around. We need to have cordial relations and peaceful relations, because in the first place, these are one people only, divided by the boundaries for administrative purposes, and so we need to promote socio-economic relations between us and the countries around, so that we live in peace.
Well, as they say always, South Sudan doesn't have shortage of problems. We have abundance of those, and of course, we cannot pick on all of them, but there are a few that we think they really matter in health. One of them is the inadequacy in human resource. And when I say inadequacy, I actually mean inadequacy in terms of numbers, but also in terms of the skills. So we have very few skilled personnel, and that very much affects our healthcare system. That makes it one of the weakest. And as you go down from the top to the bottom, right from this level to the community, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, to the point you don't find anything. So in most communities and villages, you wouldn't find a formal healthcare system. So we think this is one of our major challenges that we need to address to be able to strengthen our healthcare system. All other things likely depend on this. Infrastructure, that's another big challenge. We don't have the structures that actually befit what can be described as a hospital or a health facility. But of course, it is understandable. Yes, we always say this is a legacy of war, that's correct. But of course, having skilled personnel would make it easy to plan, but also to implement projects that will eventually end up in having good structures in place.
South Sudan had gone through a lot when it comes to underdevelopment. As such, when you talk of infrastructure, which is broad, when we came in 2005 after the signing of the CPA, what we call Comprehensive Peace Agreement, it was challenging. There was nothing in South Sudan in terms of infrastructure. Mainly I want to focus on the basic like roads infrastructure, which is the most vital and the most immediate need for people to connect themselves and to get going. But that time, the government tried with the development partners to put in place a plan, especially to link our communities, because you cannot do without roads. Mainly we call them feeder roads because South Sudan had never been experienced or lucky enough to have tarmac roads or asphalt roads. We always joke, our late leader John Garang will joke, South Sudan did not see tarmac since Adam and Eve. The only road that which is a major success is a highway. We call it highway because to our standard, it is normally Juba Road, 192 kilometers, that was constructed through the generous donation of USAID or USAID, the American funding, and we managed to successfully, 2012, finish the road, and it's the only link between South Sudan and the outside world, East Africa, so to speak, up to Mombasa. That's the only major success because now you can travel in less than 3 hours. It used to take more than 2 days because of bad road, but now it's the only critical infrastructure that we have seen. But in terms of standard road, but we open up so many feeder roads because all our 10 states, which are now 28 states, are connected with gravel roads, to speak. And we have been maintaining we have done a lot as a government. And the development partners, we open up almost about 5,000 kilometers gravel roads in the 3 major regions. This is Greater Equatoria, Greater Upper Nile, and Greater Bahr el Ghazal. So this is, in short, roads are the lifeline of every nation, or the communication to us. Roads means development, means security, means social cohesion, and so forth. Yes, the airport is now rehabilitated and given a facelift. You can see we have signed the phase 1, which is rehabilitation itself. The runway has been upgraded and extended to 3.1 kilometers at a cost of almost $60 million. That's the first phase of that airport. You go around, you see it, there's a lot of change, and people are happy about the runway. It is safer. You can now bring in big aircrafts, and now the next move is to do the phase 2, which is the tower. The current tower we have is very small and has nothing to do with the standard of ICAO, which is International Civil Aviation Organization. We don't meet the standard, and that's why we want to build about 30 feet tower. And technically, tower is the heart of the airport, where you have the traffic controllers, you have the equipment. All those equipments are now going to be installed. We'll have one of the important requirements that it is going to be 24 hours, so we have the lighting being fixed. We'll have the 24-hour operations after the completion of phase 1, probably by September this year. The airport is going to be fully operational like any other airport in the region. Some of the critical infrastructure, like we are in Juba and we're lucky to be along the Nile. You cannot conduct business without crossing the Nile to the west, to the east. So we have an old bridge that was built 1974. It was almost collapsing. We kept on maintaining it. The last maintenance was in February 17th. This month we finished, last month, and we commissioned it. It is now safe. It can take another 4 years. But the good news that through help from development partners, the Japanese government through Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, gave us a grant of $110 million to construct a new bridge. We call it Freedom Bridge. It was launched on the 19th of March 2015 by His Excellency the President, and people were happy. Immediately they start working almost. There's a lot of progress. They have finished a temporary bridge which you can cross equipments and so forth. It is going to last about 2.5 years. By 2017, towards the end of 2017, early 18, the bridge will be ready. So this is a big achievement, which is a big infrastructure for this country, because we need bridges. The Nile, we are along the Nile almost 1,200 kilometers from Numali to Kosti in Sudan. So we'll still need to cross the Nile so that we connect our communities. These are some of the, in short, some of the major achievements we have done so far as a government.
Since the South Sudan became independent, which is now 4 years old, being under one system in Sudan, the system itself as a welfare system was not developed in South Sudan, but mainly was in Sudan. But right now there is an ongoing process of developing a real social welfare system. But while doing that, we are now responding in terms of putting legal framework in place to ensure that we give these services. And I think what we are doing is to ensure that a person with disability, like providing inclusive education for all in South Sudan. That means there is no discrimination in education in responding to the needs of people with disability, because this ministry deals with people who are vulnerable. And then also providing grants for the children who are in school, who are not able to make it, so that we have a school feeding program with our partners and Ministry of Education. We also have projects for women empowerment, economic empowerment, that is being carried out as a pilot project in 3 states of Warab and Eastern Equatoria and Central Equatoria. This is what we are doing in terms of women economic empowerment. And we are now also preparing our budget to see that the social protections which has been put in place pass with 1% of our national budget is effected, so that it cuts across, so that services are rendered to those who need them. So generally, this is what we are doing as a ministry. The challenges are funding and also the capacity gap. It's funding which is in the national budget without other support from outside. So it's a challenge to be able to respond to the needs of everybody. But resources are limited because there are many other services that need resources also to be invested into. So one of our challenges is resources, and second is a capacity gap that has been created during the war. So we still need to build the capacity of our institutions so that we are able to establish a credible welfare system. For a successful humanitarian aid to the needy, there must be a community-based approach that motivates women, girls, boys, and men in the community to participate in the process, which will address where they can raise and express their needs and take decision on their own future that will empower them. And this can only be done through a need assessment. And 2, it requires to recognize the beneficiaries that are active participants in the decision-making process. And lastly, it's also seek to understand concerns and priorities of the communities, and also mobilize members of the community and engage them in the protections and programming. This you will be able to achieve the goal of getting humanitarian aid to the community, because it will be the community-owned process, and it will be a community targeted what they need in that locality or in general. So if you talk to women, they will be able to explain what are their needs. The children will explain what are their needs. If you don't want to bring a borehole that will make a child or a woman to work for 3 hours or 4 hours, the women will tell you, I want the borehole here, so that it can take me half an hour to get the water and get back home. The one near a school where the children can go and get back to their homes earlier. So the decision making process is very important, that communities are fully participant and stakeholders in terms of planning and in terms of making sure that humanitarian aid is addressing the needs and priorities of the community.
This is exactly what we are thinking about. And as a mandate of the ministry, we have confirmed and assured to our people that sport is a driving tool for unity, for peace among the people. And we have feel that since country got through the war, which is a civil war we are in, which is caused by us in 2013 up to now, we have engaged the people to come together through sports, and we have many activities, and the people were very happy, specifically the youth. Why the youth? Because the youth are also the majority that used by others to be the tools of destroy, and they come together. The happiness things that we feel it as a leadership is the games that our team has played with Mauritania in Juba here, and it was very wonderful. Even you cannot imagine that those people come together, and we have been seeing that outside, that we are people that divided themselves by tribes, and the people understand that South Sudan has only the 2 tribes, and we shown to the world that South Sudan is not a tribal ground. Just only the tribes. If you have a tribe, it is a proud. Nobody can say that I cannot belong to one tribe. Now I'm a Dinka. I like my tribe. I have been married by Nuer. I like Nuer also, and then I cannot allow something to happen in my family. It was very happiness day. Me, I feel it that the sport can bring the Southerners together.
One of the major challenges we have is related to issue of laws and policy when it comes to land acquisition in South Sudan. That's one of the challenges we have. And the other challenges is the challenge that we force to ourselves, which is the issue of war we have now, that make our economics a bit challenging for us to implement some of the projects. But once we establish laws for land acquisitions and we live in a peaceful country, then many of these challenges can go away.
There are many successes to celebrate in such a short time, thanks to the commitment of the people involved.
We have so many projects, but the key one, as I said, is Freedom Bridge. Almost will finished by the end of 2017, and the progress is almost 50%, and we're happy about that. The next is a corridor from Kenya. It's a road, we call it Coordination for Northern Corridor Infrastructure Road. It's coming all the way from Eldoret in Kenya. It's a joint project, so it will start from the border of Kenya in a town called Nadabal to Kapoita. Already World Bank has allocated about $80 million to that road, and then it will come from Kapoita to Torit. We are meeting the African Development Bank promise about $150 million US to that section, and then from Torit to Juba, or with a bypass called Nesito, because Juba already there's a tarmac. It is $170 million. It is financed by the government through loans from Exim Bank, Export and Import Exim Bank of China,
We already secured the loan. So this is a big project of about 320 kilometers road that is linking the border of Kenya to Juba, and then we'll go onward up to Rumbek, another 441. Already we are soliciting funding from Exim Bank, about 700 million US dollar. So this is one of the biggest projects that the government is keen to see that it must take place for us to continue connection. The other key projects is upgrading our airports, because we're a landlocked. Juba Airport is a priority project. By next, say like next 2 years, we'll have a very good airport that can be audited by ICAO, and we would have spent about almost 350 million US dollar to finish that project.
We've got a number of success in different areas. One of them, of course, is the area of disease control. And if you take, for example, the poliomyelitis, which is a debilitating disease for children under 5, which results in paralysis and disability and death. For almost 7 years now, this country has been free of wild polio, and preparations are underway at the moment for certification. This, of course, is a success story to us because compared to other countries that existed well before us, like Nigeria, for example, Pakistan, they're still struggling with the eradication of polio up to this stage. So for us, in just a short period of time, say 10 years, from the Comprehensive Peace Agreement to this time, it's quite remarkable. And also, in the area of disease control, you may have heard about guinea worm disease, which is also another disabling disease with devastating effects on the individuals, but also on communities and the economy of those communities. In 2005, during at the inception of the then government of Southern Sudan, South Sudan was among the 4 or 6 countries that still has guinea worm disease, but actually leading by about 20,000, more than 20,000 cases of guinea worm, which accounted for about 98% of all the cases in the world. From 2005 up to 31st December 2015, we managed to reduce that number to only 4. So up to December, we had only 4 cases of guinea worm disease, confined only to about 3 or 4 villages. Before, we had over 10,000 villages which were endemic. So this is also another success story. To this point, almost approaching the end of the first quarter of the year, we have not reported any case of the guinea worm disease, and we're looking forward to report a 0 case by 31st December 2016. In the area of maternal mortality, or maternal and child health, in 2006, when we carried out our first household survey to assess the health status of the country, South Sudan again was leading the whole world in the number of mothers and children who died during pregnancy, childbirth, or before they reach the age of 5 in their children. In maternal health alone, or maternal or mothers alone, if you have about 100,000 women giving birth in a single year, getting pregnant, giving birth in a single year, out of that about 2,054 would die either during pregnancy or during childbirth or immediately after childbirth due to complications or effects precipitated by the pregnancy. That now has gone down to about 730. This is also a remarkable success, and if we continue where we're doing, we look forward within the next 5 to 10 years actually to reach the regional average. That is an area we think we have done a lot of work. Of course, this wouldn't have been possible without investment in relevant areas like human resource and infrastructure. This, just in short, a few things I can say, but we've got a good number of things that we can term as success stories.
I could say, like other countries where maybe have not done, maybe they could be 100 years old, but South Sudan has proceeded to first look at the ratifications of international and regional instruments that promote gender and child rights. And one of them we have ratified CEDAW, which is the Convention on Elimination on All Forms of Discrimination Against Women with its optional protocols. We have also ratified a Child Convention, UN Child Conventions. We have also ratified the United Nations on the Right of the Child and African Union Charter on People and Children Welfare. And we have ratified the United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disability. And we have also developed our national laws. One of them is gender policy that guide this ministry and the government as a whole. We have National Action Plan on UN Resolution Security Council 1325, been also on peace, on women and peace and security. We have also developed standing operating procedures for gender-based violence 2014. We have passed and enacted Child Act 2008. We have Justice for Children that has already been done in South Sudan. We have also developed a policy for children without parental care. And we have a child budget responsive budgeting 2013. We have national social protection policy framework that has been passed with 1% of our budget. We have also national disability policy framework that has already been passed, and the ministry have a strategic national action plan that guide this ministry. And we also had built a national school for blind and deaf. We have 3 centers for physical rehabilitation center for those who are wounded and those who need those services in Wau, in Juba, and Malakal.
Youth are the backbone of the country, any country, and everyone knows that. That's why the government of South Sudan, after independence, has created this ministry to take care and to concern about the youth of the country. And as we know, the majority are the youth, and they need to be empowered. And they need also from the government to cultivate the spirit of the patriotism in the country. As we gain our independence in 2011, for many reasons, we have split it from Sudan, and we have our own reason as a Southerners. We came together, and our vision is to empower our youth so that they can deal with the nation building. And the ministry is working hard to put things in order. While we are in a terrible situation in terms of financing the sector, but we have organized the youth under the one umbrella, which is a youth union. And the youth union is an implementing body for the government to implement the policies that concern the youth in the country. And to empower them, we cannot empower them without nothing. We are working hard to give them whatever they want so that they can empower. What is the empowerment? The empowerment to give them the tools of the nation building. We have gained our country, we need to build our country. Without them, we cannot do something. That's why the ministry is there, according to our constitution, to deal and to take care of the youth of the country.
With the ending of the current conflict, the army will have to take up the challenge of constructing the roads, which are vital for the delivery of good governance to our people. We are already cooperating with the Ministry of Roads and Bridges, with also the UN peacekeeping forces, the engineering unit. They are also already collaborating with our engineering unit in the repair of the roads. And that's is very much appreciated, and this is what we are doing. So part of the army, definitely we have an army, a huge army, especially with the militia, or say the SPLM, SPLA, IO that is coming in, the bulk of the army will have to go for building of roads because they do not have any other skill, but to be engaged in road construction. Will be the next program that we'll have to undertake.
There has been and will continue to be significant social and economic challenges.
It is true, since the signing of the peace agreement in August 2015, the SPLA, which is a government army, has been observing the agreement and the ceasefire, and there is peace. Peace is prevailing. I'm saying there are not very serious incidences that have happened since then. These were isolated incidences. So the army is committed to the political agreement that will bring peace to our country. The army knows that the people who are in the opposition, in the armed opposition, these are the same people, and any loss of lives on both sides is a loss of the nation. So, and this is why they are observing the ceasefire. And I'm proud of our army, is disciplined, and they continue to observe this. We have already, per the agreement, we have moved them out from Juba according to the peace agreement. And they have accepted to move even to where there are no shelters. And they are making their own shelters using the local materials. So it's a behavior of an army that is well disciplined. So I'm proud of the army because they are being guided by the Constitution.
It is really very sad that when this crisis erupted on the 15th of December, it has caused breakdown of law, and it has retarded all the developmental projects which were in progress, because no one would really feel safe to carry on with the development. But the devastation really was in Juba and the other three states in Greater Upper Nile. That is Jonglei and Upper Nile and Unity states were mostly affected by the crisis, by the war. As we speak, the only resource which the country is dependent upon is the oil. But given the crisis, the oil fields in Unity states came to halt. And even the attempts of opening the refinery got halted, and also a damage was caused to other oil fields. The only operating oil fields are in Upper Nile state, in Poloj area, and it is from that little revenue is being collected by the government. But despite that, the country was able to defend all this. So what happened was just collateral damage to other oil fields, but in general, they are in good working condition, only that the personnel could not stay there to carry on with the operation. So, and coming to the wildlife protection, we have the reserves and game parks in all these areas were abandoned, and as of now, our deployments are not in place to protect our fauna and flora because of the crisis. So it is really setback, and As of now, that peace is signed. It is our wish that the law enforcement agencies will be deployed countrywide to protect the natural resources available.
With hope, not all is lost. First peace, then stability of the country will follow. And with that stability, the opportunity will be there to capture some of the exceptional prospects that the country has to offer.
The vision is to have peace for now. Peace is the key to all the activities of people of South Sudan. And I think South Sudan need to be assisted to implement the signed peace agreement. Once peace is signed, South Sudan have taken town to the village. It has taken town to the people. I think that's one of the success story, because majority embrace that creation of 28 states. South Sudan will embark on a productive institutions like agriculture, education. South Sudan will empower those ministries that deal with human resource, because South Sudan has a vibrant, young human resource. South Sudan, you can say, we have natural resources and human resources. South Sudan started late as a new nation, and South Sudan have seen those countries that have huge resources, and they are not necessarily successful. So that experience can make South Sudan succeed by diversifying the economic sector of South Sudan. We have a huge agricultural potential. We have 30 million livestock. As I said, the youngest population in South Sudan is a force that can be relied on when they are given opportunities. If they are given right skills, it can be a productive force. South Sudan should disarm the young people and give them skills, give them vocational skills so that they can form a simple industries.
The vision of this youngest nation in the world is we are striving for peaceful and prosperous South Sudan, where all its citizens enjoy the benefits and fruits of rich natural resources and many potentials that we feel could be turned into possibilities.
The international community will play an important role in assisting the nation-building efforts. It is important that they do not give up hope just when remarkable events are happening.
Well, the international community is free to donate whatever amount of money that they want to donate for the development of any country, depending their interest in that country. Because if there is nothing that they will get out of that country, I don't think that they will just pour in their money. In our situation, people have the interest that if they were given a chance of coming in, they will have to get something out of South Sudan from the oil, for example. But for us, if the international community was to come to our assistance, it would be better that they don't give us money. They just build roads. We tell them that we want this road to site from A to B, from A to Z there, and then they do it themselves. This is number one. For schools, we tell them that we want schools in this area, A, B, C, D. What sort of schools? Senior secondary schools, primary schools, and then improvement of the universities that are existing today. They would help. They would build the hospitals all over South Sudan. We don't want money because if we take money, money is very tempting. And that is what we don't want. Already there is this accusation of corruption in South Sudan. And so we will not want anybody's money to be squandered again like what happened to our own money. The diversification of economy is not only on oil. We have so many minerals and which are not tapped. You can invest in mining, gold mining, because we have gold, we have uranium, we have copper, and we have many other minerals which if they were to be exploited today, our revenue would come from different directions. Plus the land which is 95% arable. And I don't think that we would have any problem. Plus the timber, we have this teak, we have mahogany, we have ebony, many other trees that we have in South Sudan. We have fish in the rivers. We have animal resources, wild and domestic like cows. And so we don't see a gap really that we could just stay hungry like now that we are hungry. Things are available.
Recently, since we got our independence in 2011, I was in another ministry, which is my field as a veterinary sector. I was a deputy minister of livestock in the country. And then I came in this ministry in 2013. But the most important things when I engage to thinking about how the sport can play a big role outside the country rather than play a big role inside the country. We know that the sport is a tool of unity and can bring the people together in terms of come together to have a peace, to joy, and many things that sport can play a role as a human being. And internationally, we have engaged in several games. Last one, we have participated in one of the countries, which is Congo Brazzaville. We had South Sudan has participated, and the football activities is engaged too much outside the country. Now we have a plan to participate in upcoming Rio de Janeiro. We are preparing to participate as a country because we yet just recently we have become a member of Olympic Committee, International Olympic Committee, and we are ready for that. Even if we are within the challenges, that will not prevent us to participate as a country, because we have become a country, and we want to confirm to others that South Sudan is not only as they are understanding outside that the people that they like fighting. No. We like also to participate like others. We like also to live like any country. And we like also to be known. We were one country and we were a people that just only a source of resource when we were one country as Sudan. But when we become a country, we want to assure to all the countries that we are there as a people and we have a potential as other people also, and the knowledge that the people have.
As we urge the international community to look at the sources of how the conflict started in South Sudan and how best a solution could be found. As soon as we sit and we are allowed to sit as South Sudanese, we will be able to pull up together, because we have been here for thousands of years before the colonization that has demarked Africa, and we have been there. Now when you see media houses talking about this tribe or that tribe, it is like if they were created yesterday, those tribes. And it is like if, the issue of tribe has never allowed countries to flourish. We have been there, we fought the war as tribes, but we managed to actually liberate ourselves. So we need to be given space. If South Sudan has to be a viable country, we have to be given space. And those who would want to help us from international community will have to understand first that 64 tribes of South Sudan are the source of their strength, not source of the weakness.
The vision of the country is shared across the government.
My dream for South Sudan, I'm proud of it, and the dream is to have peace, and should be peace forever, so that we do not experience again and the coming generations the political crisis that brought us again to our knees. I'm looking for South Sudan where children can move happily in the morning, going to schools, business people going to their business places, and even those farmers who do not have much moving to their farms with happiness. And the beauty of Mother Nature that we have is a great thing and a friend to all of us. We want to enjoy it. It's our home, and we must build it. We must take care of it.
South Sudan, to as quick as possible, become a wealthy nation where its people will live happily and live in peace, where democracy will prevail, human rights will be there, a country that will be worth living in. We want our country to be like the best countries people would want to be in the world. This is our dream for South Sudan, and I think we can achieve it.
To see our people in prosperity, peace and unity. Because to understand that what is the country and what is the human being, it is good that to be in peace, and it is be a one people, so that you can get yourself that you are enjoy with a country as a human being. This was my dream, and I'm still hoping that one day we'll become a people that we gain our independence, because this was our hope, to have our own country that can give us our right, and we give the country the right also.
That's a beautiful question. Since liberation struggle, since I was a kid, I had always dreamed about this country, how it will look like. And I want to see a peaceful South Sudan. I want to see a stable South Sudan. I want to see a prosperous South Sudan, where all the citizens enjoy the fruits of their liberation struggle. That's what I want to see South Sudan to be.
Any person would want to dream. If you don't have a dream, you cannot go anywhere. As a young man, I've been dreaming that one day my country will be free and independent. I'm happy that I'm in an independent South Sudan, and I participated in a very small way during the liberation. I joined the war in 1983 and grew up, and thank God I'm alive, but we lost so many dear ones on the way of achieving this freedom. It was not easy. So for me today, despite all challenges, despite what we are going through, like this particular time when the economy is hurting and people are desperate, I'm still dreaming that South Sudan, first of all, I would want South Sudan to be peaceful. People will be sober up again. We stop all these small fights among ourselves, so that we are peaceful, where there's law and order, and we will be prosperous with all these resources that we are endowed with. I believe my son or my children will reap a lot of benefits after me because of resources we have when we sober up and share and try to reason and try to sort out problems. We dialogue and we stop the kind of mentality of sorting out differences with violence and so forth.
My South Sudan dream. My South Sudan dream is to promote my culture, and through that, people will come to my country and see how South Sudanese are, their culture, their food, and all that. My South Sudan dream is to see a South Sudanese lady, the president, for South Sudanese women to go to school and to promote my culture and to make sure that every other person has seen how we cook our food and our tradition.
My South Sudanese dream is that I want my nation to become a peaceful nation, that is war-free. I want to see peace and unity and progress and development in our country. That is how I want my country to. I hate to see them fighting among themselves anymore, because we try to preach peace songs. I sang a lot of songs about peace. One of my top songs is called Yes for Peace. And it is to educate our people so that they know that we are one people in one nation, and there's no way we can separate from each other. We are all South Sudanese. There's no way that this other tribe or all these other tribes have to be out of South Sudan, because we are all South Sudanese. These 64 tribes are all South Sudanese, and we should learn to love one another and work for peace and unity.
In April 2016, the Transitional Government of National Unity was formed to lead all the people of South Sudan towards their new future. President Kiir shares his vision and how he views the critical challenges needed to be overcome so that the country can realize its full potential.
It may not be my dream alone, because it is the dream of all the South Sudanese. That, you can read what is written in that carpet. It is, a peaceful South Sudan for everybody. Prosperous South Sudan, and that everybody lives in peace. We want also to live in peace with our neighbors, with international community. That is our foreign policy. Says that we have to cooperate with all the nations, no exception, except if a certain country does not want to have relations with us. That is where we will fall short. Otherwise, we want to have good relationship with all the countries. Maybe there are countries accused of terrorism. We may be afraid of them also, but there is no restriction from us on our side. So we want a bright South Sudan with a very bright future for generations to come.